Greetings and welcome to Board Game Inquisition, where we are fanatical about everything board games. Our aim is to enhance and improve people's collections by asking questions of the games themselves. Today's video is about Kickstarter and board games, some things to consider. So shall we get started? If you were to look at the top 3 board games on Board Game Geek's hotness right now, you'd see Edge of Darkness, Gloomhaven and Rising Sun. And what do all 3 of these games have in common? They're Kickstarter games. Kickstarter seems to be the new buzzword in board gaming. Okay, maybe better than new, maybe I'm getting late to this trend, but definitely it's become a place that you should be looking for new games. I definitely feel left out when I've discovered an amazing game that's coming on Kickstarter and is completely unavailable to mere mortals like myself. Today I'm going to talk about some things you should consider when purchasing a Kickstarter, because it's not as straightforward as buying things in your ordinary shop now, is it? So the first thing we should talk about is the website itself. So Kickstarter is a place for people who have ideas but aren't able to bring those ideas to fruition just yet. Or at least so it seems to just, normal folk like myself. I'm no expert here. I'm just somebody who's into board games and wants to know how to acquire the newest ones. Kickstarter is a website, and what you do is you go and you back a project. And this applies to things other than just board gaming. In fact, if you type in board games, you will get a lot of things made out of wood. So what you really want to look for is tabletop games. And then you'll see a plethora of games and ideas that people are trying to get published or put together. And what you do is you basically pre-buy or pre-purchase a game. So they provide you with a certain amount of information, and from that, and you have to make a discerning decision whether or not this game is for you. So in particular, there's a couple of things I think that should definitely be checked out before you just kind of throw your money at a purchase on Kickstarter. The first, of course, is the company that's making it. So who are these people? Have they done Kickstarters before? More importantly, have they had successful Kickstarters before that completed on time and that people were satisfied with? Definitely Google and see if there were any complaints or any issues. And this can give you a really good indicator of the type of project you're getting involved in. And it really is a project you're getting involved in, by the way. This isn't you going, I have my money, I'm going to buy this. You pledge your money. You're considered a backer. You become part of the project, which also means that you can be part of its pitfalls if there's any issues with it later on. So the second thing I think that everybody should check is the delivery date. When is my game going to be due? So for instance, if you look at Edge of Darkness right now on Kickstarter, it's not due this year, no, next year. So you have to wait over an entire year for your board game to arrive, and more importantly, for your money to be tied up for that amount of time as well. So while cost, of course, is an important thing on Kickstarter, they don't charge you for anything until the game itself has been kickstarted. So from that time until the delivery date, you're out of pocket essentially. And of course that's completely fine in certain cases, but it's something to be aware of. So cost. A lot of big games and expensive games seem to be popular on Kickstarter. People seem to want more of everything. More miniatures, bigger boxes, more excitement, and like expansions already in the box when you buy the game, which to me seems kind of bizarre. But this seems to be the root of most Kickstarters. So as long as you feel like you can afford it, I suppose, why not go for it if it's something for you? But as I said previously, make a note that your money could be tied up for a serious amount of time, and then of course that there's no guarantee that just because the Kickstarter goes ahead that it will actually get to your door at some point. Another thing to consider definitely is postage as well, because while most Kickstarter events have stretch goals and such, so that it means that and the stretch goal, I probably should explain that, is that the more people back the project, the more things it unlocks in a sense. So there are more things available, the more people put into it. So by that reckoning, it means that when it comes to postage, that you can end up with getting 2 different sets of deliveries. So you can have, and I really need to stop saying the word so, it's getting ridiculous about now. You can have your main game sent, if you order a game that happens to have expansions with it or stretch goals with it, your main game may come at the delivery date, but all the stretch goals and expansions may not come or be delivered for a much later date. So it's something you might want to check out. Another important thought, of course, is who designs your board game. It's really should probably be in with, you know, what company makes your board game. But designers are usually a good indicator of the type of game you're going to get, especially if you're a fan of their previous game. It gives you a real feel for what it's going to be about, or what it might be like, or how you might experience the game. Now, of course, this can also have its downsides because Kickstarter is quite experimental. So maybe this is an outlet for an experimental game that wasn't necessarily picked up on by other companies. When you pledge, you're an investor. Well, do you want to be an investor in a board game company? I don't know. Would it have been better just to say, you know, you pre-buy something? I think the investor status is interesting, maybe questionable. Not entirely certain about that. I mentioned stretch goals as well, so that you can more options for the game can open up as more people invest. What's interesting with that is if you would on day one went, this is the game I love, this is going to be perfect, I'll pledge my money now, and then stretch goals open up. As far as I'm aware, you're able to increase how much money you've put into the game if you decide you want to in fact include those stretch goals. So that seems like a nice idea. It's also been rumoured that you can on many occasions bid $1 and then change that, you know, as the stretch goals expand. I think the most important thing to remember about Kickstarter is point 8 on my beautiful list, is that you have to remember that Kickstarter is full of people who are sellers and people who have dreams or people who have projects of passion. So when you look at it at a game or look at the information it's telling you, it's going to be horrendously optimistic. Just by the very nature of Kickstarter itself. It's not going to tell you actually, you know, we like this but we think this is a bit weak or it needs work on. No. They're going to sell. And I think you as a consumer really need to be aware of that. That just because everything sounds amazing doesn't always mean it is going to be the case. Now that sounds terribly pessimistic on my part, but I do think you need to go in with a discerning eye into these kind of projects based on the fact that, you know, they're big projects, your money's tied up for quite a bit of time, and oftentimes there's something you really love or get really attached to long before the game has even arrived. I'm still waiting on my copy of Gloomhaven, but you know, there's a kind of an attachment there and a connection. And Kickstarter seems to bring that out in people. It seems to be a passion project. Maybe that is because you're an investor, you're a backer, you're a part of it, you're important in a sense to this entire endeavour. So that's what I think, I guess, really about Kickstarters. I've recently invested in my first ever Kickstarter on a game called Herbalism, which I'm super excited about, which I believe has already shipped considering I paid for it last week. So I think I made a good choice there on my Kickstarter purchases. Tell me in the comments what Kickstarter purchases you've made. What did you think about them before you bought them? Did you give it much consideration or due diligence? Or has anything ever gone wrong? Or anything actually ever gone right with your Kickstarter? Please feel free to share. Thanks for your time, and as always, I guess I'm here being inquisitive, loving board games, and asking questions, hopefully the right ones.